and a push for a ceasefire in the Gaza conflict.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. The highways east and west of Thunder Bay saw 3 fatal motor vehicle collisions in consecutive days this past weekend.
Each of the incidents claimed 1 life and resulted in the closure of the Trans-Canada Highway for at least 12 hours. Josh Morano joins us in studio with more. Josh?
Thanks, Riley. Northwest Region OPP responded to the 3 collisions between Friday and Sunday. Two of them occurred near Pearl, while the other one happened near the English River between Ignace and Uppsala. We spoke with the OPP spokesperson today about these tragic incidents. The first crash occurred early Friday evening on a 2-lane section of Highway 1117 between Dorian and Pearl. OPP, EMS, and the Shunia Fire Department responded as a passenger vehicle caught fire. The highway was completely closed until Saturday morning.
Going to Friday, we had a motor vehicle collision approximately 5:45 p.m. on Highway 1117 near Superior Shores Road. 2-vehicle collision involving a commercial motor vehicle and a passenger motor vehicle. Multiple emergency services attended the scene. Unfortunately, a 31-year-old male from North York was pronounced deceased at that scene. There were no additional injuries reported to police.
The next fatal crash occurred Saturday morning between Ignace and Uppsala. OPP, along with other emergency services, responded to the collision involving 2 tractor-trailer units. The highway was closed until the investigation and cleanup were carried out.
Highway 17 near English River, approximately 10:30 a.m. Emergency services responded to a report of a 2-vehicle collision involving 2 commercial motor vehicles. Again, unfortunately, a 23-year-old male from Winnipeg was pronounced deceased at the scene. 2 individuals also experienced non-life-threatening injuries and were transported to a local hospital.
Just over 24 hours later, Thunder Bay OPP, along with EMS and fire crews, responded to a serious 3-vehicle collision at around 12:45 Sunday afternoon between Pass Lake and Pearl. The jaws of life were required and the highway was closed until just after midnight.
A report of a 3-vehicle collision involving 2 passenger motor vehicles and a commercial motor vehicle. This one was on a Highway 1117 near Mirror Lake Road, which is in Shunia Township. As a result of this collision, a 63-year-old from Long Lac was transported to hospital to be treated for life-threatening injuries. However, later, unfortunately, succumbed to their injuries at the hospital. It's just a reminder to the public that it's really important to respect the speed limits, respect other drivers around you, and drive according to conditions. That's really important because, as I stated, it can change in an instant from Thunder Bay to Nipigon or to Dryden.
So far, no charges have been laid in any of the fatal crashes. Josh Morano, TBT News.
A missing teenager from Neskantaga First Nation has been found dead near Marina Park. The body of 14-year-old Mackenzie Muniz was found in the water. First Nations leaders are calling for a thorough investigation and changes to how missing persons cases are dealt with by Thunder Bay Police. Muniz was last seen on the morning of December 13th in the 100 block of University Drive. She was later reported missing to City Police, who issued a media release on Saturday afternoon. Soon after that, the public was advised of a significant police presence around Sleeping Giant Parkway, and members of the public were asked to avoid the area. Police announced this afternoon that Muniz had been found, but that it was a private family matter. Officials from Neskantaga confirmed that her body was found in the water around the marina. And Chief Chris Muniz wants the assurance that the deaths will not be simply ruled an accident. NAN officials are also questioning the police force's missing persons protocols and procedures involving Indigenous youth.
The Ministry of Labor is confirming that a workplace fatality occurred in the Thunder Bay area on Friday. The tragic incident occurred at GFL Environmental on Haniak Road in Roslyn. A ministry inspector was assigned and attended the scene. 1 work order and 15 requirements were issued to GFL. The ministry says because their investigation is ongoing, no other details are being provided at this time. But the spokesperson says they're offering sincere condolences to the worker's family, friends, and co-workers. The victim has been identified and a GoFundMe set up for his young family. Mike Sharp was 41 years old, and the fundraiser has already received nearly $37,000 in pledges towards its $50,000 goal.
Nearly $2 million in federal funding will be used to prevent local youth from getting involved in gangs.
The investment was announced by the Thunder Bay area's 2 Liberal MPs today, with city officials saying the dollars will go a long way to ensuring the best outcomes for at-risk youth. Vasilios Bellos reports.
It's a significant crime prevention investment for Thunder Bay. The federal government announced $1.9 million on Monday going towards getting youth out of gangs and preventing those at risk from joining them.
Best chance to succeed in their lives. And it is also something that's really good for the entire community. It will ensure that communities like ours who are most at risk receive that support in a timely manner to invest in the safety of their residents.
The money will go towards on-the-ground staffing who help these youth, also funding mental health and addiction supports. City Director Leah Prentice says the money will also benefit organizations that work directly with at-risk youth.
Providing, for example, after-school supports to those youth and their families, and able to refer those youth and their families in to the program for additional supports that they might need.
17 national scoped guns and gangs operating in our city.
Mayor Ken Boshkov says the funding will go a long way in addressing this issue, especially when gangs target Thunder Bay specifically.
Geographic opportunity as viewed by these organizations. So for us to counter it really determines a community, regional, district cooperation.
The youth gang prevention efforts will be rolled out in collaboration between the city's Recreation and Culture and Strategic Initiatives divisions. MP Marcus Pulowski was also on hand for the announcement, stressing how crucial it is to support at-risk youth as soon as possible.
With crime, by the time you appear before a judge, perhaps, sometimes it's a little harder to change people's course when you've gotten that far.
During the news conference, the federal representatives also hinted that more money from the Federal Guns and Gangs Initiative should be coming early in the new year, this time for Thunder Bay Police. But because that money goes from Ottawa to the province and is then allocated to cities, it will be up to the Ford government to announce if and how much funding City Police will be receiving. Vasilios Bellos, TBT News.
A structural fire in Nebing on Saturday night has sparked outrage in the community.
Nebing fire officials say the blaze was completely legal. However, nearby residents say the property owner was burning garbage and debris all last week, resulting in heavy black smoke filling the neighborhood. Jess Clement has the details.
Residents of Hawkwold Road and Boundary Drive were dealing with smoke for roughly a week from what they report to be burning garbage. This came after a property on the corner of the two streets, which was described as a notorious mess, was bought a couple weeks ago and work began to clear up the lot.
When we found out the place sold, it was kind of like, all right, maybe they're going to get cleaned up. Sounds good. So I heard trucks moving, stuff getting pushed around for a couple days. And then about a week ago, all of a sudden a fire started. And then as you just started to see the black smoke form, as the nights went by, it just became more and more intense.
Area resident Justin Milkowski said for the better part of a week, black smoke engulfed the neighborhood.
My understanding is most of the kids and stuff were spending every moment they could away from the houses because of the situation sitting at home. You couldn't go outside, you couldn't do anything. Our pets smelled of it, everything reeked of it.
He says things came to a head when he was returning home Saturday night to find what he thought was the entire side of the mountain on fire.
As we went up there and checked it out, it turned out they had lit the house on fire. Burned the house to the ground. Still was running a massive garbage fire, burning green, burning purple, literal explosions going off, propane tanks in the background.
Milkowski says he and the other neighbors tried every avenue they could think of to get some help with the situation, but felt like every official they spoke to brushed off their concerns. Nebing's Deputy Chief Dale Ashby says crews were dispatched to the scene around 5:30 Saturday evening and began to put out the fire. However, they required a specific machine, so they left and returned the following morning. Ashby adds that the fire was legal, and the property owner, who declined an interview, says he got permission from the municipality to use fire to help in cleaning the property. Milkowski says he sees no reason for himself to take further action as long as there are no more fires, but does believe there should be consequences.
The bottom line was we didn't want an open burning garbage fire right in the middle of a community the whole time. So if the fire is gone and he's going to go through the proper avenues to deal with the rest of the garbage, then we're satisfied. I don't understand just the boldness to go ahead and do something like that and just expect that there's going to be no ramifications to that kind of a situation.
Jessica Clement, TBT News.
Meanwhile, Thunder Bay firefighters were at the scene of a structural fire yesterday at the Chippewa Trailer Park. Fortunately, no one was hurt. Fire crews encountered smoke and fire coming through the roof of the trailer around 3:30 Sunday afternoon. First arriving crews were able to apply water to the exterior of the structure before making entry to search for victims. The residents were not home at the time and no injuries to civilians or firefighters were sustained. The cause of the fire is still unknown.
Tonight, Thunder Bay City Council will discuss updating TBT's dividend policy. After discussions with the utility, city staff are recommending the fixed annual dividend be increased to $19 million in 2024 and $19.5 million in 2025. That's a hike from $18 million in 2022 and 2023. This year, the dividend significantly reduced the tax burden of city ratepayers by around 8.6%. TBTL CEO Dan Topatai talks about how the new fixed annual dividend was reached.
Well, we look at what our requirements are from a capital perspective, what our operating capacity is, and then we also look at the industry in terms of dividend payout ratios to make sure that we're reasonably in a range that is comparative to other telecom companies in Canada before we arrive at a conclusion.
If approved, the next dividend review will occur during the 2025 third quarter update for TBTL.
Christmas came early for some youth at the underground gym.
The kids not only got to take part in a gingerbread house competition, but they also got a special visit from the Thunder Bay Queens hockey team sporting holiday gifts. Making gingerbread houses with the youth at the underground gym started 10 years ago when organizer Jennifer Rokola was part of a food drive that turned into this annual event. This year saw the youth making some amazing gingerbread houses, which Rokola says always puts a smile on their faces, especially as with rising costs, holiday traditions like this one often get pushed to the side.
We talk a lot about food insecurity, and if you have a choice between extras and regular stuff, you probably have to default somewhere. So this is one of the extras we can do.
Rokola says while building the gingerbread houses is for the kids to have fun and be creative, it's also a competition.
Every year there's been a competition with first, second, third, and all kinds of participation prizes. Yeah, it's quite competitive.
And the competition wasn't the only thing getting them excited, as the U18 AA Queens hockey team stopped by with presents. Queens player Taylor Mark says the team usually does a Christmas gift exchange, but decided they would bring Christmas to the underground gym instead. The team even bought all the presents themselves, which Mark says was a really rewarding experience.
For us, it's just awesome to see all the little kids smile and laugh. And I was just with one of the girls, and they were so excited for every gift they opened. And I'm just very thankful that we could have done these for these children.
And with this being an experience those in attendance won't likely forget, Rokola says they will definitely be looking to continue the annual tradition next year. The Italian Cultural Center was alive with music and holiday cheer yesterday as the Roy Karan Big Band performed their annual In the Christmas Mood concert. A variety of festive favorites were played during the show, including Here Comes Santa Claus and All I Want for Christmas Is You. The band was created almost 60 years ago, and since the passing of its founder, Roy Karan, it's been expanding in the community. Artistic director Ted Viant says they've held a Christmas show every year for almost a decade, and this year they wanted to try something different.
This year we're trying a matinee. We normally do our shows at night. But this year we tried 2 o'clock, so we've invited kids to come for free. We're going to have some prizes for kids and try to make it very kid-oriented if we can. We want a wider variety, a wider audience for our band. And we think that if younger people hear this, they may understand what it's all about.
The Roy Karan Big Band has 2 other concerts coming up. One in March, which will highlight the women who have made an impact in the world of jazz, and one in May, which will feature music from various James Bond films. Tickets for both concerts can be purchased at Music World Academy on Simpson Street.
Hundreds of toys bound for 5 remote First Nations have finally landed in Thunder Bay after almost 2 weeks of delays.
It's part of the Toys for the North campaign organized by the RCMP and North Star Air. Jessica Clement has the story.
Thousands of pounds of donated toys, basic needs items, winter wear, and hockey equipment finally landed in Thunder Bay Monday morning as part of the 2023 Toys for the North campaign. Members of the RCMP, North Star Air, and Gardewine Group were at the Thunder Bay Airport to pick up the delivery brought by the Canadian Air Force's Hercules plane. This year's delivery experienced multiple delays. However, North Star Air's Director of Marketing, Karan says she's just happy the toys are finally here.
It's been a roller coaster ride these last 10 days. A bit of a nightmare, actually, just trying to coordinate it all and make sure that it all works wonderfully this year. Santa is coming, and yes, the toys are here. Still lots more to do, but we're geared up for it because we are Santa's helpers.
Madsen says they received a lot of donations from Southern Ontario, including all toys being donated by the Canadian Toy Association. The cargo was offloaded from the Hercules and was taken to Gardewine's local warehouse. Volunteers will be sorting the toys by age group on Tuesday, and starting Wednesday, the cargo, along with Santa Claus, will be flying out to the 5 Northern Ontario communities.
The communities this year are Casablanca, Deer Lake, Poplar Lake, Martin Falls, and Fort Severn. Every year, we all know how tough it is out there, especially at Christmas time. We want to ensure that the youth in the First Nation communities receive some wonderful gifts from our beautiful donators.
The campaign started 13 years ago by the RCMP and has impacted thousands of children and youth in northern communities. Corporal Daryl Warwick says it keeps getting better every year.
We're always enthusiastic about it because of all the generosity that the toys companies are in, and the other corporate sponsors they have in helping out with this event. There's a lot of work that goes behind it with the RCMP out of Cornwall and with Karan here with North Star Air that make this all come to fruition. And every year it just keeps getting better and better, and it's a good way, again, I think I've said it before, building goodwill within the community.
Jessica Clement, TBT News.
Well, turning to weather now, Fiona, it was sunny outside today, but very brisk.
Very brisk indeed. I think Karen looked very cold out there on the tarmac with that wind blowing pretty gusty, up to 41 kilometers per hour. Now, we did have a high of -2, wind chills of -8. Unfortunately, that happened while most of us were asleep in bed because temperatures fell all night, and then as the sun came up, we kind of settled. We're fairly steady throughout the day with temperatures ranging from about -7 to -9, wind chills in the -18 range, but it stayed there pretty much all day under all that sunshine. Now, to the west, it was a very brisk night as well, actually. Temperatures were quite cool, wind chills in the mid-20s towards the Manitoba border, Fort Frances included in that. They're currently at -10 and wind chills hovering around -14. As we head up into Red Lake, similar cool temperatures, and wind chills are currently sitting at -20 under, well, we'll call it a few clouds here and there. As we head eastward into Sioux Lookout, -13, -14 in Armstrong, -15 in Greenstone. Now, this region actually had light snow all day today until about 3 o'clock, and then once the snow stopped, everything just cleared out. They're looking at clear skies right now, but temperatures were falling steadily throughout the day. They're currently at their low of the day of -15, and it came obviously with some gusty winds, as was the case along the eastern shore of Lake Superior. Sault Ste. Marie saw very gusty northwest winds, 50 or more at times, and temperatures fell throughout the day. They're currently at their low of -5 and a wind chill of -12. Now, here in the city of Thunder Bay, we will drop down to -12 tonight, but with winds blowing, it could feel closer to -21. That's what happens with clear skies. There's nothing to hold in any of that daytime heating. But we are going to see more sunshine tomorrow, and with it, a slight rebound in temperatures. I'll have more details on how long that will last later on in the news hour.
Thanks, Fiona. Well, after the break, the U.S. Defense Secretary met in Tel Aviv with officials as pressure continues to ramp on Israel to de-escalate the war in Gaza.
We will continue to stand up for Israel's bedrock right to defend itself.